Ever since we moved into our house almost 5 years ago, I have admired this huge maple tree in our yard where the lower branches weren't pruned sufficiently and it's just perfect for climbing. My kids regularly scale up this tree 20, 30 feet in the air, and I figure it's about time to build them a tree house. My name is Melissa from Welcome to the Woods, and I'm a DIYer who is really excited to give this present to my children. To be honest, even though I wanted to build this treehouse for a very long time, I haven't started because I've been intimidated by how large this project is, and it's custom. You have to build around your specific tree. So I just wasn't sure how to go about it. It took a lot of planning and measuring for honestly months before getting started on this. I finally landed on a design that combines treehouse with playground so we can get rid of the rainbow place that we had in our yard before. Now I'm going to be using treated lumber for this build. It was quite a workout hauling, cutting, and assembling all of this heavy duty lumber. I'm using 2x6s and 4x4s predominantly, and yeah, if I can do it, then you can do it. To simplify this build and still make it strong enough, I am joining all my lumber with 3-inch long leg screws. The treehouse is going to rely partially on the tree and partially on 4x4s that come down onto these footers. I didn't want to put too much stress onto the tree. I did have it looked at professionally before beginning this build and had it trimmed up. But regardless, I just wanted to put as minimal amount of hardware into the tree as possible. I've never taken on a building project of this scale. You can see this platform here is almost 8 feet in the air. My previously published YouTube video has a breakdown of everything I did to build this treehouse in detail. So if you wanted to create this or watch that, you can go and find that on my channel. I just don't want to repeat myself a lot for those who follow me. Just showing a quick overview of what I did to get all the framing in place around the tree and then cut all of the floorboards so that all my lumber was ready to go. I actually hardly used a tape measure in this build because it was so many angles. I just kept holding things up and marking with a pencil where to cut. This treehouse took me about 8 days and $800 of lumber to construct. So at this point in the treehouse build, all of my treated lumber was cut and ready to install and stain, but I had to wait until it was dry enough. So I picked up a moisture meter. I didn't even know this thing existed till I looked it up. It tells you the moisture percentage in the material you're testing. For my treated lumber, it has to be under 15% ideally for staining and sealing. And fortunately, after about an extra week drying in the hot summer sun, it was ready. Now I could begin sanding. If I were to do a project like this again, I think I probably would use a round over bit on my router to get all of the edges nice and soft before constructing. But since I was already at this point, I grabbed my random orbital sander and softened up all the edges of the spots where the kids are going to touch the most. And I especially got that ladder up on the treehouse to be super, super smooth. I spot sanded for 4 hours on this thing. So now we're going to finally stain, and I'm using a Wagner airless sprayer. This thing is new to me. Wagner gifted it and is the sponsor of this video. So I set up my sprayer and I mixed up my stain and sealer in one product to get ready for spraying. Now this is user error, all this overspray that you see. I actually had a 515 tip on my sprayer, which is meant for paint, and I'm using a stain, so I really should have had a smaller tip like a 313 on here. But airless sprayers overall are known for not creating overspray. Even with the mess that I'm making, I felt that this was a lot faster to apply product. Now, even when you're spraying, you still need to backbrush. Backbrushing works the product into the pores of the lumber and it helps it adhere. It ensures that your stain job will last a lot longer. If you skip backbrushing, you will regret it. So I just sprayed on my stain and then quickly went over it with my little brush, and this went so fast. These are all of the floorboards I have not attached yet, so I laid them all out on a long table, sprayed them, backbrushed them, and then let them dry for a full day before flipping them stain side down on my framework and nailing them in with spiral shank exterior nails in my framing nailer. I put the ladder that I built up to the first platform in place and nailed that as well. Now, if you are enjoying this video so far, I want to invite you to subscribe to my channel and turn on the notifications bell. I do all kinds of home DIY, custom building, furniture flips, room makeovers, and I don't want you to miss out. Let's learn together. Hit subscribe right now. Once all my floorboards were installed, I came over them with my random orbital sander at 120 grit to make the floor where we're going to walk, probably barefoot, soft and ready for stain. I applied stain this time with the little Flexio sprayer, and Wagner's battery-powered sprayer is so easy to use. I completely fell in love with it. It only has 2 different nozzles to choose from, which cover a wide variety of applications, so it took the guesswork out of which tip I should have for stain, and I didn't create nearly the amount of overspray using this. The battery life on it was about 45 minutes, so that was perfect because with this sprayer, it only took me 10 minutes to do each platform. So I did have a backup battery that I was charging at 40 minutes to full charge, so I could just cycle my batteries if I needed to, but this applied stain so efficiently that I didn't even need to use the second battery. I loved how convenient the sprayer was and very, very easy to clean. I'm going to be using it a ton in the future for any small project. I know it. If you want to shop for Wagner sprayers I've showed in this video, don't forget to click the link in the description. After the stain had dried a couple days, it was time to install my railing kit. I cut 2x4s to the width between my 4x4s and then used these snap and lock balusters from Titan Building Supply. So I have shadow rails that connect my 4x4 to the 2x4 railing, hold it secure for me to pop into place my square metal spindles. My son Theo actually wanted to help with this part. He helped me to put the collars on each end of each spindle. This was a very tedious little task. I was very grateful to have his help. At this time, I want to invite you to follow me on Instagram and TikTok. They're both linked in the description on this video. On those channels, I share short format, fun, vertical videos that are shareable, and you can still learn a ton. On Instagram stories, I'm also constantly sharing behind the scenes, and you get to be in touch with me on a daily basis. Now it is finally time for me to start adding equipment to my Treehouse playground. I got this slide for free off Facebook Marketplace and screwed that onto the first platform. Up on top, I am going to place the big spiral slide. I put in this framework for it that I pre-built the slide to go into. This actually ended up not being entirely stable, and I rebuilt it. Like, I did the design differently, but I didn't catch that on video. So my husband Steven and I actually tried to lift up this giant slide ourselves, and it was a total no-go. So the next day I organized a couple people to come help, my father-in-law Don and our neighbor Luke. Shout out to those guys for making this happen. I picked up other secondhand playground equipment as well, and I needed to treat it with acetone because it was full of paint and stain from the previous set it was a part of. So I loaded the playground equipment and rock climbing holds into a bucket, poured some acetone on it, and then scrubbed away with a brush. Surprisingly, it worked like a charm, and I got them all clean, looking brand new. The acetone I let evaporate into the air. This is the safest way to dispose of it. And then I just scraped off the paint chips that were left behind and threw them away. My son, Nick, decided he wanted to help put together the rock climbing wall, and I was grateful because I enjoy teaching him how to use tools. He's super interested in DIY. He's only 9 years old, but I think he can learn a lot. So I asked him to place the holds for me, and he did a pretty good job. We rearranged them so they were spaced pretty evenly, and then I pre-drilled for him and showed him how to use my impact driver to screw in each of the holds. Boy, teaching kids how to use tools takes a lot of patience, like this clip right here where he cannot for the life of him get his driver lined up with the head of the screw. I attached the 2x6 supports for my rock climbing wall at an angle to the second platform, and I used leg bolts to secure them to the framing. Then I just put some long regular screws into the 3/4 inch thick plywood sheet to secure the rock climbing wall onto my supports. Underneath the tall third platform, I'm using leg screws to secure these metal swing hangers. These are super heavy duty for some gymnastic rings, and I'm going to create monkey bars. They connect into each of the 2x6 framing and they're super secure. Right next to those, I'm going to add another one of those swing hangers, and this one is going to have a large rope that goes down to a disc swing. My son Nick loves these. Up on top of the third platform, I wanted to add a couple special little things. So I'm currently adding a little hook into this branch right next to the platform where I can put a little pulley system. I'm going to have like a rope and a basket where the kids can move things up and down. I'm also going to add a little binocular set that came with all of the secondhand playground equipment I picked up. And I cleaned this as well and then put it back together, and it's so cute. There's this one area on the second platform that I felt it was a little unsafe and I wasn't able to add a railing. So my solution was to buy this net hammock and then string and secure it around the 2 branches. It ended up kind of being a little seat as well if you wanted to use it that way, although it's a little hard to get out of. I also had the idea to string little solar lights on the outside of the treehouse just to make it light up at night. It's so cute. But this totally pales in comparison to how it looks in the day. Wow. Look at my finished treehouse. There are so many fun aspects to this that I'm going to let my kids show off. Nick, age 9, and Theo, age 7, have definitely been the most excited for me to build this treehouse, and they are on it all the time with their neighborhood friends. It's been crawling with kids ever since it was even just a framework. I've been trying to keep them off it when it hasn't been safe, but you know, kids are kids. And I'm so happy they have this to share with all of the neighborhood and everyone can enjoy it. Theo, being the youngest of my set of older 3 children, is often asked to go get stuff for his older siblings. If you know, you know. Hopefully this little basket and pulley system can make getting his siblings snacks a little easier. Liam, age 2, is really loving the treehouse as well. I'm really proud of my design that allows him to be able to climb the whole thing. I incorporated the tree branches as the steps, so I didn't have to figure out how to build steps around the tree. I'll never forget the first time Liam scaled the tree house like this all the way up to the top platform, and he just wouldn't stop saying, "Whoa, wow." It was so cute. Right where the rock climbing wall comes up onto the second platform, I was really hoping to use that as a jumping point for a zip line between those 2 branches. But unfortunately, I didn't have a good spot for the end of the zip line to anchor to. I didn't have like another tree, or I looked into adding a post in our yard, but it just wasn't feasible. I'm super disappointed, but maybe at some point in the future I can add a zip line. I mean, there's already a lot of fun things to do in our backyard, don't you think? My daughter Lily, age 11, loves to practice her gymnastics moves on the monkey bar rings. And of course, she likes the spiral slide and playing with her baby brother Liam on here. Liam also loves sitting on this little rocking chair that was a pass-me-down. Steven's grandpa actually made this long ago, and I can't believe how well it matches. He likes to use his little gray slide on the first platform, but in all honesty, he prefers the big spiral slide. He climbs up it like this in order to go down it. It's just the most efficient way. I sourced this 9-foot tall open spiral slide from the site Backyard Adventures, and I'll be honest, it was not cheap, but this slide is the wow factor of this treehouse, and it is by far everybody's favorite aspect. I'm proud of my brave 2-year-old for taking a spin on it, and of course, Theo, Nick, and Lily all prefer this method of exiting the upper platform. Plus, how many kids can say that they have access to this big of a slide at their house? My kids sure are spoiled. Thankfully, they're all super grateful. I have heard, "Thank you so much, Mom. This is the coolest thing ever, Mom." And we are so lucky countless times. I am very proud to have provided this fun play place for my kids. I'm sure countless childhood memories will be made on this treehouse. If you were impressed with this build, please consider supporting me on Patreon or sending in the super thanks. Shout out to my short list of current patrons. Thank you so much. Your financial support helps my channel thrive and helps me create more impressive and complicated projects. I would love to know in the comments below what was your favorite aspect of the treehouse build and what is something that you might consider adding if you had this in your backyard. Thank you so much for watching Welcome to the Woods. I hope you loved it and that you'll consider subscribing for more. Coming up next is a bedroom makeover.